So I guess you could call this video my first official video in the new series I'm doing, or series, called Must-See Episodes, where I highlight great episodes of, live-action kids shows that I think you should check out. And in case you're wondering, yes, the concept is basically just a rip-off of The Mysterious Mr. Enters, Admiral Animation, only for live-action stuff. So, The Haunting Hour. The Haunting Hour is a horror anthology series that aired a couple years ago on the Hub Network, or what's now called Discovery Family. If you've ever watched The Twilight Zone, this is basically The Twilight Zone for kids. This show, kind of like the show Gravity Falls on Disney XD, it definitely kind of pushes the limits of what you can get away with on a kids show as far as like how dark it can be. It's definitely targeted towards kind of an older audience of kids, but yeah, that actually is one of the things that I think makes this episode in particular so great. So yeah, each episode of this series, well, it's horror themed for one, and each episode is basically like a standalone 22-minute short film, completely different characters and settings and situations each time. And in this particular episode called Afraid of Clowns, it centers around a soon-to-be 13-year-old named Christopher. This kid basically has a crippling fear of clowns, which I'll get to a little bit more in the review. And just for the record, I don't plan on giving away too many details with the plot here, because I don't want to spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it, and I do recommend you check this out. So let's get to the plot. So the episode starts off with a flashback back to Christopher's 7th birthday party. Unfortunately for Christopher, his parents invited a bunch of clowns to the party, and they're really freaking him out. And yeah, this scene definitely does a good job at setting up the creepy, atmosphere / tone for the episode.
Now, Chris, there really is no reason to be afraid of clowns. I'm here for you.
So we then flash forward to present day, and here we meet, once again, soon-to-be 13-year-old Christopher. We also meet his parents, his best friend Finch, and his female friend named Danica. I'm pretty sure these two like each other, and yes, I do mean like. But anyway, Danica invites Chris and his friend Finch to a nearby clown show. She invites them to go along with her and a few other guys she met. And of course, as you can imagine, Christopher says he doesn't want to go. So Chris and Finch head over to an old abandoned warehouse. They're going to throw some rocks at it. And people say kids today don't have enough extracurricular activities. So the two of them end up having a kind of serious talk about Christopher's clown phobia. Christopher explains to Finch that this phobia is more than just kind of a typical everyday fear that, I'm sure, people like you and I have experienced.
But this phobia is killing our social lives.
I know it's stupid, but ever since I was a kid, it's been like clowns are stalking me or something.
Yeah, they totally are. They just want to give you a balloon shaped like a poodle or score you in the face with a fake flower. They're clowns. That's what they do.
No. It's more than that. It's like they know me. Like, they're coming for me.
If there's one thing that I kind of don't like about this episode, it's the fact that at times the actor Jake Ferry, who plays Christopher, his acting in the episode can, in some parts, be a little bit not good. It's good in other parts, but, and I think this scene kind of shows a good example of how, at times, it can be a little too over the top. But it also shows some good sides of his performance, too, so, yeah. But let's get back to the good stuff, because, like I said, this is a great episode that you should check out. So then Chris heads back home on his bike. Along the way, he gets stopped by a car full of clowns. And, as you'd imagine, they give him a pretty big scare.
We're here for you, Chris.
This is the same network that airs My Little Pony, right? So Chris heads back home. He goes to bed that night. He has another bad clown dream, once again, kind of scary. And then he wakes up the next morning and it's his 13th birthday. So then his friend Danica comes over and she leaves a gift for him. say I'm a bad gift giver. So yeah, Chris decides to end up going to the circus or the clown show with Danica and Finch and everyone, you know, despite his fear. And I won't say what happens next, but let's just say some pretty crazy stuff happens, and, you know, I don't want to give away any more of the plot than that. So, this episode definitely does a very good job at being scary overall, and also particularly in the later scenes of the episode. As the episode kind of moves along, it's kind of progressively more and more terrifying. And like I said, I'm not going to tell what happens, but you do really kind of get to the point where you really start to kind of worry for Chris and his well-being. And I think the thing in particular that makes the plot work is, you know, throughout the episode, you don't really know what's going to happen. You know, is the phobia kind of in his head, or is it not? How, or to what extent? You know, is he going to make it out of this okay? Is he not? You know, what's going to happen to him? You don't really know, and that's what definitely makes a good suspenseful story when, you know, it's constantly leaving you on the edge of your seat, and you don't know, what's going to happen next. You can't predict it, so that's good. I compared this show to The Twilight Zone earlier, and like The Twilight Zone, this episode in particular, it's not the only episode that does this, but this episode in particular has a really good, very strong twist ending to it. I won't say what it is, of course, but I definitely didn't see it coming, and I doubt you will either, unless you're, I don't know, smarter than me, which, like, that's even possible. And yeah, like I said, despite the fact that I criticized it a little bit earlier, Jake Ferry, who plays Chris, his acting is definitely, it's very solid overall. He, despite a couple parts where he goes a little bit over the top, he does stay pretty, realistic and believable throughout. And he definitely does, especially in the later scenes of the episode, he does a very good job at conveying, Christopher's fear. Yeah, so overall, I said that this was definitely a great episode that you should definitely check out. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I've actually been watching this series for the first time in the past couple weeks, and I watched several episodes, and out of all the episodes I watched, including a lot of episodes that are considered to be the best of the series, this personally, I would say, is the best. It's my favorite. I thought it'd be interesting from the title, and it definitely was. It does a good job at actually taking, the whole idea of something that could be kind of simple and making it really creepy, which I definitely like. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. Happy Halloween, and thank you for watching. Bye.